What is good, everybody? It is your boy, and we are finally back with another video after many, many months. And as you can tell by the title, we're doing something that we did do last year, but to a much greater extent. I'm ranking every rap and non-rap album that I listened to in 2023 and putting them in order. I'm calling it a rap list because it's mostly rap music. I listen to some R&B, some alternative shit that's still like kind of rap adjacent, so that'll be thrown in the list too. You'll see it as we go. It makes sense to be there if you get what I'm trying to say. Before we get further into this video, I just wanted to tell you guys that I will be starting a rap-centered music podcast. If you enjoyed this type of video, there will be much more of it on that channel. The Set the Bars podcast will be hosted by myself, friend of the channel McMaddie, and a good friend of ours. Click the iCard in the top right of your screen or the link in the description and subscribe so you don't miss out on our first episode. Also, along with some streamer friends, I'm starting the world's first ever SMP RP style server in Palworld. This will be a series of live streams on both this channel and my Twitch channel, which is linked below. The SMP launches today at 8 p.m. Eastern time, so remember to tune in. So we're gonna actually just start from the bottom to top because I put everything in order, and we have 80 albums to go through. So putting everything in order and having to describe it like partway through, like, oh yeah, I put this in between this and this for that reason, it's a lot easier to just progress from worst to best. So we're just gonna get into it. I'm gonna try to give like quick statements on everything and spend like maybe 30 seconds on everything, maybe a little more as we get closer to the top, but let's just let's get into it. So at the bottom of the bottom we have The Brave by Tom MacDonald and Adam Calhoun. Now I'll confess, this is the only thing in the entire list that I didn't actually listen to because I'm not subjecting myself to that. I think everybody knows why. Bullshit messaging, not good sounding music. All of like what he stands for is fucking cringe and dumb, and I hate it. And then following up with that, we're gonna have Sexy Red as well as Her Deluxe. Now, I'm not a big Sexy Red fan, I'll be honest. I think the hook on the Drake song is pretty good, but that's about it. I just think I don't mind sexual themes in music. Obviously, I don't care, but like she's just kind of nasty. Like I know she said, "I'm trying to get my coochie scratched." And my cum clear, your cum green. I don't want to listen to that day to day. So that's just like, it's nasty. After that we have Destroy Lonelies, If Looks Could Kill. I mean, it's just not that good. The whole, like, trying to be a rock star type thing just doesn't work with rap music. It just doesn't, like, it doesn't sound right. I just don't fuck with it, like, at all. It's just a weird style, and I don't think he executes it well, and it's a bloated-ass album. It's, like, 20-something, like, 23 tracks or something like that. I had to sit through, like, an hour and 10 minutes of that garbage. Terrible. Hated it. That's all we have for the worst of the worst for F tier. In D tier, we're starting off with Cali, I think it's Kali Sober by Wiz Khalifa. This shit was ass. There was one song that I liked just because the sounds of it were kind of fun, but it's all like heavily auto-tuned, weird, hardly rap music, like shit, and he's trying to go for that like vaporwave vibe, if you couldn't tell by the album cover. I don't know, it was just really, it was whack, and I did not like it at all. Not in the slightest. Following that, we have Lil Pump 2 by Lil Pump. I mean, it was just like, just garbage Lil Pump music. I mean, Lil Pump's music was fun at a point, but like when the novelty of that's gone, there were a couple of songs where he was bringing it back and it was like alright, but not to the point where it's like playlist worthy. Actually, speaking of playlist worthiness, I'm gonna digress for a second. I know this is gonna be a long video, but I'm gonna digress just to set some ground rules. So I do have a couple of deluxes on the list. If it's like two versions of an album that I have both times, I'm only ranking them based off of the songs that are like different in them, if you get what I'm saying. So for example, Alone at Prom Deluxe is somewhere in here. I'm only ranking the new songs because Alone at Prom came out in 2021. I have For All the Dogs and Scary Hours 3 separately. I'm ranking just the 6 songs in Scary Hours 3 separately from the entirety of For All the Dogs. Just to clarify that. So yeah. And the other thing that made me think of this playlist worthiness, the metrics that I'm ranking these albums by is obviously enjoyment of the sound, originality, creativity, and experimentality. Those are big. And how much enjoyable of a listen through the entire album is, like, as itself. How good the songs are individually, and playlist worthiness or replay worthiness, as in I would come back to this album or I will put songs in this album on my playlist and listen to them in my leisurely time. So just I'll be referring to that as we go, so I figured I'd just lay that down anyway. So yeah, Lil Pump, it was ass. He had that one rock song, terrible, disgusting. After that we have Like, the EP by Ice Spice. I've never got into Ice Spice. I feel like it's just like, I'm not a big fan of just basic drill music. I am from New York, but I feel like if you're not doing it your own way, it just gets really boring. Like, I like 5e, I like Pop Smoke, I like Sleepy Hollow and Chef G, but that's kind of it. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't do it, like, differently. And Ice Spice is an example of that, but she's just, like, one of the only girls who does it. She has hit potential, I'll give her that. Some of the songs are catchy, but I still just don't really... I don't fuck with them, if you get what I'm saying. Like, I don't think she's lyrically creative. I think a lot of her songs sound very samey. So, like, I'm not going to give her credit for the sameness of her songs because it just feels like the same song. And, oh my god, the Bikini Bottom, the beat was so fucking dumb. I think that was the point, but, like, it was so dumb. Alright, I am taking a little too long on these. I'm going to try to speed through, but I do have comments for all of them. Next, we have Decisions, the other Little Wiz Khalifa project. This was also ass for similar reasons. I put it a little bit higher because it had decent rapping verses in between, but the hooks were all, like, the same as they were on Kali Sober. Like, also, I guess I should point this out, too. I put the Sexy Red Deluxe above the original just because I like the 42 Doug feature. But yeah, the Wiz Khalifa, the other project, it was still ass, but it had some verses that I liked. Still not to the point where I'm adding anything to my playlist, but, you know. Alright, this is going to be the first entry that I actually have a song from in my playlist, and that's Yeat's Afterlife. This one really just struggled from length. A lot of the songs were longer than they needed to be. For example, like, I believe the intro went on for like 4 minutes, and the songs aren't super dynamic within each other. I mean, like, it's just 4 minutes of kind of the same shit. I never have been a huge Yeat fan. I like some of his songs. I like the shit he did with Drake. I like Poppin'. I like a couple of songs on this album. Like 2 out of, I think, like 22, 24. And again, it's like in the 20s in tracks of just boredom. So if a album is full of mid or bad and it's extremely long, it's gonna be docked points for that because, like, it just becomes a slog to listen through. Moving on, this was the biggest disappointment of the year, probably, Pink Tape. Now, I did say I was giving points for experimentality, but, like, I just don't think any of it worked. Like, the few songs I liked on this album, I actually do not like the Travis feature at all. I like the hook in the beginning and then I skip it. Also, it was fire live. I saw the Circus Maximus tour. It was really good live. Yeah, I like A for that reason. I liked Flooded the Face because it's just like Uzi rap, and I Gotta, same thing. It's just like what you would expect from an Uzi album, and they're not like exceptional, but they're good. But everything else, like the rock, him always making the fucking sound in like every fucking song, it's just like, ugh, I don't like it. And the anime song and the fucking Nakamura song, it was just bad. So it was pretty awful. So that's D-, awful. Now we're moving on to D tier, bad, and we're starting off with NF. I hope my friend doesn't watch this because I do have a friend who's a pretty big NF fan. Now, I don't think if you put NF on, I'm gonna like beat the shit out of you. I guess you could consider that another metric that I'm ranking these on. If you are on aux, am I beating the shit out of you? In the F tier, you're done for. You're dead. D-, you're on thin ice. And then everything above that, I'm like, I don't respect you, but I won't touch you. Obviously, as we get into the better tiers, it gets better, but you get the gist. So it's just like a lot of the singing, it's just not very rap-like, which again, like sometimes if I'm going into an album expecting it to be rap and it's not super rap, that hurts it in my eyes a little bit. I liked the song with Corday. I think that was it because of Corday. And I guess NF, he can rap, but I don't know, the content of his songs is not really like, it doesn't resonate with me that much. I guess some of the ones where it's like all sing-songy and whatever, but it just sounds like basic. I don't even know if I should call it pop, but it just like, it doesn't, I don't know. I don't entirely understand the appeal to NF. Moving on, another thing that I don't understand the appeal to an even greater extent is we have Nostalgia by Rod Wave. Rod Wave is a massive artist, and I do not just mean his weight. He is very, very popular. And I just don't get it. I listened to this entire album. Again, this is like a 23 songs of nothing that I liked. Every song sounds similar, at least. The features were eh. And I just don't like his style. It's just him singing, rapping. He has a good singing voice, but that's all he really has going for him. I liked his like first two hits. I like Heart on Ice. I like Rags to Riches. And that's like kind of it. I just don't know what's going for him that is like clicking with people so much, but I just didn't enjoy it, and it was a slog to sit through because it was really long. Another thing, a very overrated artist in my opinion, Moneybagg Yo. I believe this one, Hard to Love, I think was the name of the album. Yeah, I think it was called Hard to Love. I liked Ocean Spray. That was one song that I heard. The more I listened to this album though, even on Ocean Spray, which I just did say I liked, it sounds like if you just listen to it real hard, he just sounds like he's trying to be Future almost. Like if you could just hear his songs, but like an AI cover of Future, it just sounds like a Future song. You know? Like I just think that's I don't know, it just doesn't seem very original. His voice is kind of weird. I like some of his music, but like not to the point where I would ever go through an album and add like even close to half of the songs. I just think he's, again, overrated, basic, like, trap music, and he'll have the occasional decent song. I wouldn't consider this an overrated album. I think this was properly rated. I don't think it got a lot of critical acclaim. We have Tech by Lil Tecca. I liked a few of the songs. I liked Tech. I think I remember the one with Kodak being good, but I'm not sure. And I like 500 Pounds. I mean, 500 Pounds is a pretty good song, but the whole rest of it is pretty, like, again, it's just basic. It's basic trap music. Like, it doesn't have anything interesting to it. And it's, again, another thing with sameness. Sameness really turns me off of an album because it just feels like I'm listening to the same thing for like 40 minutes to like an hour, which is not fun for me to do at all. So I don't know. I can't do it. He has a couple of hits. Some of the transitions between the songs were really nice, I remember, but it's just a very not notable album, in my opinion. Speaking of not notable, we have Larry June and Cardo Got Wangs with The Night Shift. This was like massive struggle with every song sounding the same. I think Larry June is not very diverse. And when he does his singy shit, it sounds kind of whack. The only verses that I really enjoyed on this were Blast's verses on Blast's interlude, and that's it. That's not even Larry June. I think a lot of his shit just sounds so much the same. It sounds like the same shit every song. And we're talking like, I think like an 18-track album, something like that. So it just gets boring. It just gets so boring. Speaking of boring, love the album Off the Grid by Diddy. So I didn't know what I was getting into with this. Apparently Diddy's DJ Khaled now, because he seems to have curated an album, a playlist almost, as opposed to being on every song. He raps on a few of them, but there's like, I think I listened to the deluxe because it had a few extra songs. I think it was like 27 songs, 24 on the original, something like that. And it was a lot of just basic sounding R&B as opposed to rap. Very boring, like bare bones R&B. Like music that if it was playing in the background of somebody had on an aux, I'll just be like, yeah, I mean, it's like not terrible music, but like it's boring. And when you're going through it for however, I don't even want to know how long this album ran. It's got to have been like an hour 20, even more than that. And I liked a few of the songs. I liked both of Ty Dolla $ign, or maybe there were more than two. I liked two of Ty Dolla $ign's appearances. I liked the Mary J. Blige song. And that was it. That was it. And if that's all I'm getting, and the rest of it's okay or mid R&B music for like 23 songs, you're getting a bad ranking for that. Because like, that's not a mid album if you're full of an hour and a half of mid and bad. You're bad, if you get what I'm saying. Again, the boredom and the slog of it definitely makes it worse for me. That's all we have for D tier. We're moving on to C-, Kinda Dookie. And we're starting with Chomp 2.5, an EP by Russ for the lead up to his album Santiago, which we'll be getting to soon. It's just Russ rapping, and his style's alright. It doesn't hurt my ears to listen to. It's just nothing remarkable. Like, it's, again, not like a playlist-worthy anything, but it's like if you're playing it in the background, I'll be like, oh, it's Russ, and then I'll just listen to it, you know? That's all I really have to say about that, actually. It's 6 tracks, kind of boring. After that, we have Santiago by Russ. A couple of songs that were good. One of them was carried by a feature. Don't remember what her name was. A song called Oasis. And the intro was pretty good, and I believe there was maybe one other song that I enjoyed. But this is just like when you picture Russ, it's that. Like it's the same types of like rapping and flows you hear on something like Chomp 2.5, and then he has his singing like songs that just don't really go anywhere. They're just kind of boring. Again, they're static. They don't change very much throughout. So it's just a boring album. It was kind of dookie. After this, after listening to the next album, which was actually an EP by the name of, it was Clear 2 Soft Life. It had a long title, something like that, by Summer Walker. There it is. I noticed listening to this that I'm not the hugest fan of Summer Walker. I've heard some features from her that are pretty enjoyable. I also haven't listened to a lot of her old stuff. I only heard of her for the first time maybe a year and a half ago. I wasn't really on the Summer Walker boat, so I'm going to give her old stuff a shot. But from what I've heard since like 2022, since like her feature on Only Built for Infinity Links, everything since that's come out, I've listened to most of. Not a huge fan. Don't love it. This is another thing. It suffers from a similar thing as the Diddy project. It's just kind of basic R&B. Some of it's enjoyable, but not to the point where I'm like, I'll put it in my playlist. It's like, oh, this is like something I could listen to and vibe to if someone else decided to play it in the car, if you get what I'm saying. And obviously the J. Cole intro, amazing. So I gave it a little bit of extra points for that. Not to the point where it shifted it any places on the list, but the J. Cole intro was very nice. I did enjoy that. After that, we have Nightmares in the Trenches, the Lil Durk label, Only the Family, OTF collective album. The single for it, Smirk Carter, was pretty good, and there was maybe one song on the mixtape on the project that I actually really enjoyed, and it was by some random people that I had never heard of. I don't even remember their names, but yeah, it was. This is another example of just boring trap music like Moneybagg Yo, but just, I guess, less boring. It's like a little more original. It's a lot of them kind of just sound like Lil Durk, which isn't necessarily it's a pretty bad thing, but it's like to the point where you're gonna be better than Moneybagg Yo, because I like Lil Durk more than Moneybagg Yo, so his style doesn't necessarily bore me as much. But yeah, it was just like it's a pretty dookie mixtape. After that, we have the Brent Faiyaz album, Larger Than Life. This one's Brent Faiyaz. I don't hate him, but I don't particularly love him. His voice is very unique, but I don't know if I like it that much. It works on some songs. Like one of his songs I was listening to earlier, Upset. That song's been stuck in my head all day. I don't get upset. Or like the fucking beginning where he's like, I'd be like, fuck it, at the same time I don't say fuck it. But a lot of the songs are just, again, like kind of boring R&B music. Some of it's alright. The A$AP Rocky feature's good. The A$AP Ant feature's good on that other song. It's kind of dookie, because like it's not an album that I want to listen to through. It's not an album that has a lot of songs that are going in my playlist, not a lot of songs that I'm going to be returning to. It's kind of dookie. Following that, we're going to have Mansion Music, Trippie Redd, one of the first albums to come out in 2023. Yeah, it was, I mean, this is another slog to listen to. There's like 23 tracks. I liked maybe 5 or 6 of them. Some of the features were pretty good. Disappointingly not good feature from not good song featuring Travis Scott. And you guys know me, I'm a pretty big Travis Scott fan, in case you couldn't tell. Yeah, I still, the songs that I enjoyed I really do like, and I come back to frequently, but it's such a minuscule portion of the album, and every other song is boring to listen to. It's just like, and it's like almost 20 tracks of it that I don't like, and I had to listen to all of them. Again, we're talking like an hour plus of album of stuff that's just kind of boring. And similarly, we have Pink Friday 2 by Nicki Minaj. Another pretty big disappointment. The two Pink albums, Pink Friday 2 and Pink Tape. Very disappointing. I mean, I like Nicki Minaj. Who the fuck doesn't? But this album was just, it was boring. It's like if you were to take like the everyday like all right song from a Nicki Minaj album, it's just filled with those. Again, a J. Cole feature that is the biggest highlight on the album for me, and a couple of other good songs. I think there were maybe 2 other than the song with J. Cole. The song with J. Cole, she, by the way, does a great job on too, but the J. Cole feature outshines her entirely. But I mean, it's all right. it's well, I guess I shouldn't say all right because that's a much higher tier. It's like full of mediocre songs, mostly, like almost entirely, with quite literally 3 songs that I thought were notably okay. After that, we have Blockbuster by Busta Rhymes, which kind of surprised me that it made it this high up, because the first, I'd say, quarter of the album was enjoyable, and then it just completely tanked after that. A lot of the features were kind of carrying. There were a few Busta solo tracks that I enjoyed, but like Coi Leray pretty much carried the song that they're on. The hook on that song still kind of goofy, but I enjoy it. Coi Leray carried that. The song with DaBaby and T-Pain, I just think DaBaby and T-Pain completely outshone Busta Rhymes. The song with Quavo, he totally outdoes Busta Rhymes. It's like, it has a few good songs out of a lot of songs, and most of them are because of the features, so I'm not going to give it a lot of credit. And the last thing we have in C- tier, kind of dookie, is The Fix Before the Six by Lil Wayne. It's just like, the Titties song is hilarious, but it's not good. A couple of his flows are good. The song Birds has interesting flows, but the beat is completely obnoxious. The rock song Tuxedo is pretty dookie. The features actually kind of alright on that. I like the song with Fouché. That song's good. She has a pretty good feature on that. But like, that's all that's notable about it. The rest of the album is like, I mean, I guess, well, mixtape, but it's just, again, it's boring. There's just not a lot going for it. It's just, I guess boring isn't even it. It's kind of just dookie. like the Tears title says, like the Titties song, like, again, it's hilarious, and I might enjoy listening to it once in a while, but not because it's good. And again, the Birds song could have been good, but the beat is obnoxious and it just hurts to listen to. So it's quite literally like, it's not just full of mid and boredom, it's got some bad to it, which is like kind of rough from Wheezy. To start off C tier with Mid, this is another album that I don't get the hype behind. Glaucoma 2 by Key Glock. I had never listened to Key Glock before this past year, before 2023. And I mean, it wasn't terrible to listen to, but like, he doesn't have an interesting voice. A lot of his flows feel very similar. He doesn't change his vocal inflections at all. He doesn't try singing. He doesn't really switch up. The production carries on quite a few songs. Like on the intro, Dirt, I like that song a lot, almost entirely because of the production. Because, oh my god, that beat is really good. So the production on the album is really good, and I can understand, I can get behind somebody saying they like the album for the production. But, like, it's kind of carrying. Again, Key Glock, he's not super interesting in his flows and sounds, especially not in his lyrics. I mean, he has a couple of witty-ish, funny-ish bars here and there, but like, I don't know, it's just not super exciting to me, and I don't get the hype behind it. Another thing I don't get the hype behind, which we'll see a little bit of a trend for a little while, is albums with The Alchemist. We got Voir Dire by Earl Sweatshirt and The Alchemist. These albums, you'll see there's one more that we'll be talking about pretty soon, they get really boring really quickly. With Voir Dire, I only like the song Mancala featuring Vince Staples, because that song felt kind of dynamic. A lot of them, it's the same beat going on the whole time, and the Alchemist production, it's good, but a lot of it, I wouldn't say the beats sound the same, but they have almost the exact same vibe all the time, which encourages similar flows, similar sounds, and those flows and sounds are usually lazy, monotone, boring, which isn't terrible all the time. Again, I like some of the songs on albums by Artist and The Alchemist. We'll talk about Larry June's The Great Escape with The Alchemist soon. I like some of them, but like a lot of the time, the production just kind of allows the rapper to be lazy and boring sounding. And listening to that through an entire album, it's boring, and I don't really get the hype behind it. Like, I don't know. I don't get the hype behind it at all. I really don't. After that, this is... A lot of people are going to think this is crazy to put above Voir Dire, but we have A Great Chaos by Ken Carson. I'm thoroughly surprised this didn't end up in complete dog shit tier, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of, like, all the Opium stuff. I liked a pretty small chunk of this album, but the rest of it's not, like, miserable for me to listen to. And not every song sounded the same, which is kind of, like, the bare minimum. But, again, this is the mid-tier. I'm not, like, praising this album like it's amazing. A few of the songs, pretty exciting. The rest of it, that's all I really have to say about it. After that, we have Jay Critch's Jug Season, which kind of similar. It's long. A lot of the songs are different sounding, but it's not amazing. With a pretty tiny handful of songs that I did enjoy a lot thrown in there. Like probably went like maybe 6 for 20. I'm not entirely sure how long all of these are. I mean, it's 80 albums. I'm not gonna remember every stat of everything, but yeah, that's all I have to say. I like Jay Critch. He did an all right job. It's not really. It's a pretty mid album. Now we have Larry June and the Alchemists, The Great Escape. This suffers from the same stuff as War Deer, but not to the same extent because it had a decent few tracks where the vibe of the production was at least a little more energetic or allowed for Larry June to not be as boring as he was on The Night Shift, but not on every track. I will say a big chunk of this album suffers from the same stuff as The Night Shift for me, where a lot of it sounds samey, and it's honestly more because of the production. Actually, it's not because of the production, because Larry June did it with Cardo as well. It's probably because of Larry June. It's boring. He has like lazy, monotonous flows. When he tries the singing shit, it's not that good. So yeah, I just I'm not a big fan of it. I like a few of the songs. Again, there may be like 3 or 4 on this one that I liked, especially the what's it called? The Wiz Khalifa feature was actually pretty good, and the Big Sean feature was really good as well as a couple of other songs. 89 Earthquake that just have Larry June. I'm trying to think of the other one. Turkish Cotton, I think, was the intro that I liked. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that one. Now we have Saint Michael, another Trippie Redd installment. Only 7 tracks. I liked 3 of them, didn't love 4 of them, but the 4 of them that I didn't love weren't terrible. They were pretty alright. And the 3 that I enjoyed were I come back to somewhat frequently. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that, because we're following up with Saint Michael V2, which is just this with 10 more tracks on it. I'm ranking it differently just based on those 10 tracks, because I feel like that's most definitely a significant enough difference. So I just liked a lot more of the tracks on this one. The production on both of them are pretty decent, but I think it excels even more on Saint Michael V2. It's just Saint Michael, but better. We'll follow this up with one of the biggest surprises of the year for me, being so high up in the mid-tier, is Homicide Gang's Fifth Amendment. I didn't hate this at all. It was, like, not a terrible listen. Some of the songs were pretty boring, but, like, I like the energy and the production on a lot of these, like, on What It Is. Production's great. Pierre, amazing. But, yeah, I just feel like the vibes of it, energetic, cool. And I think I had, like, more than half of the songs, if not close to half of the songs of this album in my playlist. And I come back to them, and I enjoy them. They're not the best. They're just like, oh, these songs are surprisingly, like, something I would come back to. I'm not saying that they're amazing. I'm just saying it so positively because I was expecting it to be pretty ass. So, yeah. More in the mid-tier, we have Too Good to Be True by Rick Ross and Meek Mill. Disappointing, honestly. Feels like a cooler duo than it ended up being, especially considering their names are Robert Williams and William Roberts. Don't know which one's which. I believe William Roberts is Rick Ross, but I'm not positive. Yeah, I mean, this one just fell to like again, just a lot of basic, similar sounding songs with another situation with a pretty decent handful of songs that I did thoroughly enjoy in there. That's all I have to say about it. I wish that would be more of a notable album than it is, but that's all I really have to say. After that, we have Srem for Life by Ray Sremmurd. I thought it was decent. Again, they're like probably a little, like somewhere near half of the songs that are in the playlist. Some that I enjoy a lot, some that I enjoy less, some that I don't like at all. Like the like Something I'm Not is a great song. I like Tanisha a lot. I like Flaunt It Cheap. I like a few other ones that I just can't think of the names of off the top of my head. But everything that's not there, like the Young Thug feature, I think there was, and there's a Future feature, I'm pretty sure. Those songs were pretty ass, and a lot of them were pretty ass. So the balance between the two, it's going in the mid tier. Moving up, we're finally in the relatively positive stuff with B tier with All Right, and we're starting with what I would say is probably another disappointment. Welcome to Collygrove. The sequel to Collygrove by Lil Wayne and 2 Chainz. Lil Wayne did not bring it this year. I'm hoping the Carter 6 is better when that comes out, probably this year. Yeah, there were another album with a pretty good handful of songs that I did enjoy a lot, like a pretty decent amount. Like I enjoyed them considerably, and I come back to them often, like the song with 21 Savage, and I can't remember any other ones. But this album's really harmed by its lowlights are super low. Like Crazy Thick, I liked at first. I don't know how I came back to it. I was like, this song's pretty ass, and oh my god, the Pretty Pussy Award might be one of the worst songs of the year. That song sucks. So that definitely docked it quite a few points. All right, I'm gonna move on to another collaborative mixtape. We have "Hit Me When You Leave the Club" by Tyga and YG. It had a few boring songs, but everything else is just kind of like, oh, this is kind of fun party music. It sounds like Tyga and YG. That's all we have to say about it. It's like enjoyable to listen to, but it's not like, oh wow, this is phenomenal. Above that, we actually have 222 by Lil TJ. It was pretty good. It was all right. That's I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, yeah, definitely switched it up throughout the album, which is something that, as you've noticed through my commentary, was not a consistent theme throughout a lot of these. A lot of the songs were different sounding, which is again bare minimum, but like, you know, decent amount of singing, decent amount of rapping. His flows were nice. The production was nothing to like be like losing your mind over. Pretty like basic production, but TJ did his thing with it, and I just enjoyed it. I guess I don't know what else to to say about it. After that, we're starting to get into albums that I actually like come to pretty frequently. At least a good chunk of that I come to a good chunk of their songs pretty frequently. Boy Meets World by Sleepy Hollow is an example of an album where I don't think there are that many skips, but it's not like I absolutely adore the album. I liked most of the songs in this album, but not like, oh my god, this is a banger. More like, oh, this is a pretty cool song that I'll come back to. And since it's like such a big percentage, but I also don't love a lot of the tracks, I felt like All Right was pretty safe because I mean they're all right. They're like something that I would listen to and something that I've been listening to and something that I do listen to. So I think All Right is a pretty fair ranking for that. After that, we have T's Coney Island by T Grizzly. Let's see if I can find that in here. There it is. This one had more songs that I actually really liked, but also more songs that I kind of just didn't fuck with at all. And yeah, I mean, T Grizzly's on his fun like Detroit flows again. Robbery 6, oh my god, amazing, loved it so much. Yeah, I mean, it's T Grizzly. He has a couple of songs where he's even like more singing, and I think Beat This Case I think was the name of it, and it was a fun listen. I actually enjoyed that song. I gotta beat this case, baby. It was all right. It was all right. And with that, we're gonna move on to A Gift and a Curse by Gunna. Again, it was all right. It was all right. I think like less than half of the songs were enjoyable, but some of them were very enjoyable. Like Back to the Moon, I really like. Rodeo Drive, I really like. Fuck You Mean, obviously is a fucking banger. It's most streamed rap song of 2023, but that's all the album really has to stand on. Everything else is just boring. I like P Angels, but the fact that you can hear the smoke detector beeping in the background is embarrassing. I hope he goes back and like fixes that and then just like does it, I guess, if you can do that on Apple Music. I think you can do that on Apple Music. And Spotify on streaming platforms in general. I think that's an option. He needs to do that because it's embarrassing. It's an okay album. Following that, we have Post Malone's Austin. This is a pop album. I actually think this is the first non-rap, non-R&B album that we're talking about. There will be a few more, but not a ton. It's mostly rap. But I mean, it was good pop music. It's like mellow, almost folky pop music, which isn't really my personal style of music that I enjoy, which is why I put it kind of low down. But for somebody that enjoys that style of music, I think it's pretty good. Some of it was appealable to me. Like I have one of the songs in my playlist that I just like, my everything playlist that I put everything that I like. It's not terrible. It's all right. All right, we're moving up to B+ tier, which is solid. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a hot take. We're going to put Danny Brown's Quaranta in there. Now, one thing that I need to point out. Oh, another criteria that I didn't mention that I was ranking before is like message and depth of the music. I definitely care about that to an extent, but also I feel like Danny Brown definitely has that. He has like the experimentality, he has the message, but I just personally I don't entirely love his sound all the time. I like it sometimes. Like Jen's Terrific Vacation is an incredible song. I love it, and I like that he used that sample. I keeps coming back to Travis Scott, but the same sample that Travis Scott used in 5% Tint. It sounds really cool, and he used it in a completely different way because those two songs are not similar at all. I just find that very interesting. And another like half of the album I enjoyed. Like Hanami was good. I liked Celibate a lot. Celibate was actually one of my favorites. But the ones that I didn't like, like the intro Quaranta, I didn't like. I didn't like Tantor at all. I don't know if that's I don't know what the general take is among the Danny Brown audience about that song, but I did not enjoy that at all. Just sonically, the sound was just unsettling to me. I don't know, but it was solid. Like again, I liked a good chunk of the songs. It was solid. I liked the message, but he fell off sonically for a good chunk of the songs, so that's why I'm giving him that downgrade. And similarly, we have Danny Brown and JPEG Mafia's Scaring the Hose DLC pack. Only 4 tracks, but I felt I'd count it anyway because I don't know. I fucking felt like it's my list. I liked 2 of them, and I can't remember which 2. I think it was Hermanos and Tell Me Where to Go. Yeah, Tell Me Where to Go, the only song in the Scaring the Hose duology where Danny Brown is rapping with his normal voice. But I didn't like the intro, Guess What Bitch We Back Ho, that much. The production was it just got a little too obnoxious. I know that's kind of the point of Scaring the Hose. I'll get to that when we rank Scaring the Hose later on. Trust me, it's higher than B+ tier, but it got a little too obnoxious for me on a couple of the songs. Tell Me Where to Go, I think, is a very enjoyable listen. Hermanos is fun, but the song titled No, 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 it's 32 no exclamation points. Again, it's just not resonating with me the same way as a lot of Scaring the Hose did. So going 50-50, going one for 2, going 2 for 4, I can't rank it that high. So I'm going to give it solid because it wasn't terrible, but you know. Right above that, we're going to go for another EP. We have Split Decision by Central C and Dave. I like all 4 of these songs. Sprinter, obviously the best there. That's just a really fun song, one of the biggest songs of the year. It's a fun song. Our 25th Birthday is a very nice listen. I like the sounds of that. Trojan Horse is a good song. UK Rap, it's fun. It's just fun. I like it. I don't love it a ton, but I like it. It's solid. After that, we have Alone at Prom Deluxe by Tory Lanez. Not as good as the original album. I think the original album was very fun to listen to. I like the 80s pop sound. And I like the way he does it. It's fun. I just think he missed the mark on. I think I liked 5 out of 10 of the songs on the deluxe, as opposed to pretty much everything on the original Alone at Prom. Yeah, but like Poison Ivy, the Michael Jackson sound, I think he captures it really well. I think it's really cool. Splash Wave Repeat Interlude is really fun. Wallona's Workshop, oh, that song is always in my head. Work, just don't stop. Unless you're ready to get it, baby. It's so much fun to listen to. I don't know. But again, like the other half of those songs are kind of boring. Like the outro, I didn't fuck with it at all. Like I didn't like it on first listen, second listen. It's just boring. So I love some of them and really don't like the rest. So I figured solid was a pretty fair ranking for that. Next up, we have another R&B album. We have Kali Uchis's what's it called? Red Moon and Venus. Definitely not basic R&B. Every song sounded different. I love the song with Don Toliver, Fantasy. I like Wish You Roses, Moonlight. Just all over TikTok. That song's really good. A few songs that I didn't love. I don't really have much else to say, honestly. It's just good R&B music. It's nothing like exceptional, which is again why it's just in B+. Solid. It's solid, and it's not amazing because again it falls off in a few categories and a few tracks. But like the vocals are there, the diversity in the track list is there, and the set of interesting songs is there. And honestly, I have similar things to say about our next R&B album, which is right up next, which is Since I Have a Lover by Black. I like this one a little bit more. There were definitely more tracks that I liked a lot more than on the Kaliuchis project. It was still enjoyable, but again, the Black I just enjoy. I like his voice a lot more. His voice is just very cool. And songs like Preach, B4L, mwah. And it's a long album, so it was a slog to get through, even though I liked a lot of it. But a lot of those songs fell in the same categories, like what I was saying with the Sleepy Hollow album. They were like, oh, I'll come back to this and I'll put this in the playlist with everything that I plan on listening to at some point again. So, but then there were another like half of the songs that I liked were like, oh, this is actually like pretty fucking good. So it's a solid album. It's not amazing, but it's solid. After that, we have Gumbo by Young Nudy. This one surprised me. I never really... I mean, I've listened to some Young Nudy, but I never listened to him like that. Like, I had a couple of his features and stuff, but, like, this is just a fun album. And the sounds are very different among the songs. Like, no two songs sound very similar on this, which I like. Like, Peaches and Eggplants with 21 Savage. That was an instant classic. Everybody was fucking with that song. It was all over the place. Boo, boo, boo. I can't even make the sound like he does. Portobello, Brussels Sprouts, just those are like two very cool, like almost vibey songs among an album full of more energetic stuff, and I feel like his ability to be diverse kind of shocked me, and it was better than I was expecting it to be. So I think it's a solid album. Again, I'm trying to not go too in depth. I'm already 40 minutes into recording this, so we'll see how it goes, because I don't even know if we're halfway through the shit. This is gonna be a long video. Next up, we have Grandson by King Von. Not as good as What It Means to Be King. I know you guys probably know if you've seen it. I ranked What It Means to Be King, his album from last year, or I should say 2022, on my 2022 album tier list. I ranked it much higher. It was still okay. It had a lot of just like the basic King Von song, where it's just like kind of him doing the same flow again, with a decent mixing in of songs that were unique and very cool and cool features. So it's solid, because again, a lot of the basic King Von stuff, if he changes the lyrics up enough and he changes the beat up enough, and it's just a similar flow and not the same flow, I still kind of fuck with it. I mean, I like King Von's sound, so if he's just like yoink and twisting from himself and recycling a flow and changing it up a little bit, and it's something that I already liked, I'm not going to dislike it. That would feel kind of disingenuous in a way. But yeah, it's a solid listen. It's not super exciting. It's solid. These are definitely two. I think there's a pretty decent gap here, but not to the point where they belong in good for the next two, which would be the last of the solid tier. We have Scarlet by Doja Cat. Her rapping was kind of it was a fun style. Her singing, like on Agora Hills, so nice. Songs like Fuck the Girls, I like that song a lot. Paint the Town Red and Attention. Do I even need to say? I mean, those songs blew up for a reason. Paint the Town Red, one of my favorite beats of the year. But this is another album that, like, a lot of the tracks I didn't like. I really didn't like the song Wet Vagina. I didn't like the sound of that one at all. Also, kind of an icky title, I'll be honest. Kind of an icky title. But yeah, it's solid, because a good chunk of it is like, oh, I fuck with this, and the rest of it's like, eh. It's not like there's not a lot of terrible on it, which is kind of the bare minimum for a good album. But again, it's not even in good tier; it's in solid. You got to keep that in mind. Then we have F65 by IDK. I never really listened to IDK like that. I had a couple of his singles in my playlist. I even went back after listening to this, and I listened to his album from 2021, which is actually a lot better than this one. And I like him. I actually like him a lot. His 2021 album is pretty good. Like, I had Shoot My Shot with Offset when it came out, because I'm a big Migos fan, but I hadn't listened to him until then. Pretty entertaining. Pretty good. I fuck with it. And, yeah, a good chunk of good music. Yeah, I don't know. It's just... it's just a good chunk of good songs. I mean, it's hard to look at and ratio it when I'm looking at the track list, because it has a lot of fucking interludes, and I'm like, which one's the song, which one's the interlude? I can't remember, and I don't feel like skipping through the entire album for like the 5th time. But overall, out of the songs, he did not miss many times, and I like his sound. I like, again, the diversity, because he has songs like 850 with Rich the Kid, and then he has songs like Mr. Police, two incredibly different sounds, and I think they're both done very well. He even has some more R&B sounding type shit, and I enjoy it. Here's another big shocker. We have Fetty Wap's King Zoo going in the good tier. Fetty Wap album. I think it's his first non-mixtape, like full album project since his self-titled project with Trap Queen and 679 from 2015, which is insane to me. But yeah, it was not bad. He didn't like try to do what he did in 2015, which is kind of a good thing, because it would feel like he'd be like selling out, copping out a little bit, if you know what I mean. And I guess that's not what he's known for, because like the version of 679 with Drake, he refused to let it come out because he was trying to put his guy Monty on, and I respect the fuck out of him for that, to be honest. But again, I respect the fuck out of him for what he did here. He has a couple of songs where he's just like rapping, and I wasn't expecting it, and I really like the way his voice sounds that way. And of course, he has some singing. He has a very fun singing voice, and Sweet Yams is on this album, and Sweet Yams, instant classic. I think it might have come out in 2022 though as a single, but maybe not. Regardless, Sweet Yams is a fucking banger. And the misses on this album aren't huge misses, and they're few and far between. I just think it's a good album. It's good. Our first of two soundtracks. We have the Creed 3 soundtrack by Dreamville and Them. I mean, obviously it's diverse, so it's not super boring to listen through, because like obviously it's a bunch of different fucking artists. My Boy with Jid is probably Jid and Lute biggest highlight. That song, I loved that when the single came out. Amazing, just an enjoyable listen. The interlude by J. Cole, pretty fire, very interesting, like the boom bappy sound at the beginning, very cool. Yeah, I don't know. It's just diverse, a lot of different artists, and they all kind of did their thing. So it's a pretty good album. After that, we have really weird Group Therapy. I was mature for my age, but I was still a child. Now I say very weird because TJ Online was Leo in Lab Rats on Disney XD or Disney Channel, and I just thought that was funny. I thought that because I loved that show when I was a kid. And we have the same birthday, he and I, which I think is pretty funny. And I do enjoy his rapping, probably the most of the group. I don't know. I like Swim and Jada Grace a lot too, but I feel like he's consistent. He consistently delivers a little bit more than the other two. Again, this album did not have a lot of misses, and I had no idea what I was getting into, because obviously I'd never heard of them before, and no one fucking heard of them before. A lot of you probably haven't heard of them watching this fucking video right now, but it's very interesting. It's a unique sound on like every song. No two songs sound even remotely the same, and I really like that. Again, for a listening experience, listening through an album, when you're getting like super unique sounds throughout the entire thing, makes it so much more enjoyable of a listen, so much less of a slog. I keep saying the word slog. I can't think of a better word, but I don't know. I just really like trunkpoppers.com. That's my check. American Psycho, Help 1 and 2, both Help are they're just really good. I don't know. And then there's a couple of songs where it's just like, oh yeah, I like this. And then there's a few where I'm like, eh. And I think it's a good album. And to follow it up with an even bigger surprise, our fourth and final entry from Trippie Redd is A Love Letter to You 5, where Trippie Redd just went completely different direction stylistically and went for like, I don't know, like conscious rap, like almost boom bappy style stuff with like the took my breath away with like the I love you like Adam loved Eve, just promise you won't leave. And he had that, and his singing was really on point, like with Praying for Love, which sounds very similar to Pray for Love by Travis Scott and The Weeknd. Again, everything comes back to Travis Scott in my mind. But again, there's a few skips at the beginning, but after we get past that, it's a lot of just consistently good songs with good features too. You got a pretty decent feature from Lil Wayne. You got a very enjoyable feature from Roddy Ricch, actually. And I just think it's a good album. It's an enjoyable listen, and I suggest it. After this, we have Conductor Machine by Conway the Machine and Conductor Williams, another artist-producer collaboration, and not the last that we have on this tier list. I like Conway. I like the Griselda sound. He's probably my least favorite of the three between him, West Side Gun, and Benny the Butcher. But Conway, he's tough. He had the one song where he's singing for the hook, which I don't love the hook, but the rest of the song's good. Like, I don't think there's any real misses on here. A couple of the songs out of like the 6, I'd say, are just like, oh yeah, this will go in the playlist. I like this. And then the other 4 are just like, yeah, this is pretty. Excuse me, this is pretty fucking good. So yeah, I think it's a good. Would it be considered an album? I guess it's not really a mixtape. Like an EP, I guess. It's only 6 tracks. It's got to be considered an EP, surely. All right, this one. Okay. A lot of you probably won't recognize this album cover. This is Slime in the Ice Machine by Amir Van and Merlin Wood, who I never heard of until I was talking on a Discord call, on a stream actually, the music stream that I did with Matt and his friend who is a producer. And we were talking after the stream, and he sent us a song called Song 2 from this album, and he was like, you guys should listen to this. I remember he told me to listen to it because he said if you like JID, because we were talking about the Forever Story, you would probably like this song. So I listened to it and I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty fucking good. I checked out the album. It was only 10 tracks. It came out this year, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna listen to this, and then I can put it on the tier list too. And it was an enjoyable listen. Now, I didn't love every single song. There were maybe 3, maybe 4 of I think it was 10 or 12 tracks that I didn't love. But like, again, Song 2, oh my god. If you're going to listen to anything, look up Song 2 by Amir Van and Merlin Wood. Again, I never heard of these people, so I get the hesitance, but just give them a shot, because this project, very enjoyable listen through. I think it is a very strong album. I think it is good. I think it is an A-tier good album. Moving on, we have our other soundtrack, which is Metro Boomin's Across the Spider-Verse soundtrack. By the way, loved the movie. I did not watch Creed 3, if any of you were going to be asking me that. I did not watch Creed 3. But I did watch Across the Spider-Verse, and it was a great movie. And the soundtrack was also great. The only thing that I was upset about was the fact that Am I Dreaming didn't show up in the movie. It only showed up in the credits, because, oh my god, Am I Dreaming is an amazing song. That's definitely my favorite on the album. It does have a couple of overrated songs, in my opinion. Self-Love by Coi Leray, I don't love a whole lot. Nonviolent Communication, James Blake in them, I don't love. Hummingbird, the other song by James Blake, I also don't really love. But the rest of it's pretty fucking solid. Like Danger, JID and Offset, Annihilate. It's Calling, I think, is the other Sway Lee one, the one with A Boogie. It's good. It's good. Moving on to the uppers, the top 3 of good tier, we have Almost Healed by Lil Durk. Not super long and not super samey, and a lot of the songs were pretty fucking solid. That's all I really have to say. Also, All My Life is one of the best songs to come out in 2023. That song's amazing. Yeah. It's just good all around. I just enjoy pretty much the whole album. It's dynamic enough, maybe not within the songs, but throughout the songs. I guess throughout the songs, between the songs, the variety is there, which obviously is like a necessity. That's all I have to say about that one. Next up, we got Business by Young Tug. Again, same thing as the Durk, but to a slightly greater extent. The 21 features, the Travis features, the Drake features, the Future features. The features are doing their thing, but Thug is definitely not letting them entirely outshine him. Like on Oh You Went With Drake, I think the hook is probably my favorite part. And, I mean, Drake's verse is fucking so good on that. And on Parade on Cleveland, Drake's singing intro is very nice, but I think Jeffrey definitely like puts it together, and he has the biggest highlight on the song at the end. It's again the same thing as the Durk album. It's just good through and through, with very few not good songs in my opinion. At the top of our good tier, we have, this is a last minute release, but we only talk about Real Shit When We're Fucked Up by Boss. Again, only a couple of not great songs, and everything else was pretty fucking enjoyable. Between the rapping songs, between Passport Bros, that beachy ass song with J. Cole, the other 2 songs with J. Cole features are always gonna help. And then his like R&B singing stuff, like Risk. It's just and U-Turn. It's just like, again, diverse, enjoyable, and that's what you need to make a good album. That's all I have to say. Now we're moving into the stuff that I really liked. A+, great tier. First off, we got the Earth Gang EP. Earth Gang versus the Algorithm. I don't think that's in the title. I think the title of the album is just R.I.P. Human Art. I didn't love the intro, but the other 4 tracks, I love all of them. Like, Die Today, great. What is the one that I'm thinking of right now? No, I was thinking of Die Today. Die Today's always getting stuck in my head. Flavors of Karma is probably my favorite. That song is amazing. And again, it just... I just think it's one song that I think is and I don't love, and then 4 songs that I just think are incredible. So I think it's a great EP. And it's not very long. It's 5 tracks, so it's definitely worth the listen. Next up, we got Magic 3, one of 2 albums by Nas. There's also Magic 2, which we'll be getting to. Yeah, it's Nas. Nas is, in my opinion, probably on par with Kendrick Lamar for the greatest rapper of all time. Not personal favorite. He's definitely my personal favorite out of New York, though. But he's definitely, obviously, like in my top 10 personal favorites. But in terms of just objective, or what I think is objective greatness, that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? He's probably the greatest rapper of all time, and it shows in these 2 albums, in Magic 3 and Magic 2. But like in a weird way, because like these albums were really enjoyable listens, and they were just kind of like almost mixtapes for him, because they were kind of supposed to be buffers in between King's Disease albums, which are like the albums. And and they're still so good and so much better than a lot of your favorite rappers' stuff. Like, if your favorite rapper is Young Thug, which I can respect that. Nas's Little Baby project outdid him this year. I keep saying this year. It's 2024. I'm late to the party. It's already almost February. But this tier list took a long time to curate, to get in order. Trust me, it's 80 albums. It's not easy. But yeah, Nas just, like, brought his A game, and he always does. It's again, nothing, like, super phenomenal. Because, again, it's like a buffer. So I'm still giving him credit for it, but I'm not going to give him extra credit just because it's a buffer between his next big project. But the Hit Boy chemistry with Hit Boy's production, it just always works. And the Lil Wayne feature, it's great. Moving on after that, we have Lahai by Sampha, which I do believe falls under electronic music. I just think it's such a unique sound. I don't know what else to say. It's a super unique sound, and I enjoy most of the songs, and again, most of them sound very different, but like in the same like font of sound, if you get what I'm saying. It's just so different, and I like it. I genuinely don't know what else to say. His vocals are very cool. His voice is very unique, and it fits super well with the uniqueness of the sound of the music that he is singing on, if you get what I'm getting at. It's just super different, and I just fuck with that so heavy. Now, a lot of people are going to hate on me for putting this above Lahai. I really enjoyed Don Toliver's Lovesick. I've been a Don Toliver fan for a long time. Since Can't Say came out, pretty much. Since Astroworld, when everybody first heard of him. Then No Idea, then his first album, then his second album, then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I just really enjoyed Lovesick. Some of you may have noticed that the instrumental for Honeymoon is what I use in a lot of my video intros for my Phony Moments videos, because it doesn't get copyrighted, and on my channel, and it works, and it's cool. That's probably my favorite song on it too. That song's just very fun. It's not super similar and safe by Don Toliver's standards, and I'd say that applies to a decent amount of the album, like Love Sickness, Leather Coat. That's more Don Toliver, but very good. The song with Justin Bieber I enjoyed a lot. The song with Kyle Uchis I didn't love. The song with Dirk and Glorilla, I hate Glorilla, I'll be honest. I didn't fuck with that much, but that's really it. The other songs that I didn't love, I didn't hate. Like Cinderella, it's alright. It's not great. But like Go Down, the little beat switch at the end, I just really enjoy the sounds. It's like, I like the feel of the sexy music. I just like that a lot. And that's like probably half of the album. All right, moving up, we have Kaytraminé, another producer-rapper collaboration between Kaytranada and Aminé. Yeah, I mean, everybody who's listened to this, I'm pretty sure, shares a pretty similar sentiment that it's just really good. Amine's performance is just great, and the production is great. There are a couple of misses songs. Snoop Dogg, I think, is pretty ass, but that's kind of it, I think. Like, Master P is probably my favorite. It just starts off super energetic, and it keeps it. Then Big Sean comes in, keeps the same energy, keeps a similar flow, changing it up a little bit, fitting his voice, and it just works super well. The chemistry's there. It just works between Kaytranada and Amine. That's all I really have to say. It's not like the most groundbreaking, but it's not. It doesn't sound like pretty much anything else that has been coming out, and it's fucking good. It's good rap performance. It's good vocal performance on some of the times where he's singing, especially because of auto-tune sometimes, but not shaming that. And Kaytranada, he brought the beats. He did. That's all I have to say. This one, another big surprise. Jackman by Jack Harlow. I'm putting it A+. I'm putting it in A+. I've liked Jack Harlow in the sense of individual songs from his albums, but I've never enjoyed a listen through of a Jack Harlow album because he's not really an album artist. He's a hit artist, but he has a couple of like songs that are enjoyable to listen to. But like Jackman is an album that I can and have listened to through many times. I mean, it's short. It's like 24 minutes because it's only 10 tracks, but it's good. The intro is great. They Don't Love It is one of my most played songs of 2023. What's the intro called? Common Ground. No Enhancers is very fun. I Don't Love Is That I, but the rest of it, again, is so good. Questions, It Can't Be. It's all just like heat through and through. It's just all good songs, back to back to back to back. Is That I, back to back to back to back. I was in complete shock when this came out, and it came out with like no promo, just randomly. It was awesome. And right above that, we're gonna be putting Logic's College Park. I didn't like this as much as Vinyl Days, which came out the year before, 2022. But it has similar vibes, which is great, because I did love Vinyl Days. It captures similar vibes, just not to as great of an extent. I think the skits on your first listen of the album, the skits at the end of a lot of the songs, I think they're fun and cool and funny and whatever. Some of them are cringe. It's Logic, that's expected. But they're not like something that I'm gonna listen to every time. Like Paradise 2 is one of, if not my favorite song on the album. Once the song ends and the skit starts, I'm skipping it because it's a 6-minute song and 3 minutes of that are the skit at the end. But that doesn't hurt the song for me at all, because again, it's not like it was meant to be there for listening through the album. So yeah, it's just like Logic in his element, kind of, just to not as great of an extent as he was the year before. And I mean, I still respect it. It's good. I enjoyed it. After that, this is another big surprise. We got Tizo Touchdown with How Do You Sleep at Night. I had no idea who Tizo Touchdown was, because me and my fake rap fan ass didn't listen to Call Me If You Get Lost until this year by Tyler, the Creator. But I heard of him for the first time in Lil Yachty's Let's Start Here, because he's featured on The Ride. And I was like, oh, this guy's got an interesting voice. This is cool. I've never heard of this guy before. Maybe he's like some old artist who's just not been around for a while. And I was completely wrong. He was brand fucking new. And then he showed up on Don Toliver's Deluxe, and I was like, oh, that's ass. I did not fuck with that song at all. And then he showed up on Utopia on Modern Jam, and I was like, wow, that feature was good. And his ad-libs on Thank God, also very good. And then he was on For All the Dogs twice. He was on Amen, listed as a feature, and he really made that song. And then 7969 Santa, he made 7969 Santa. It's all right. And then Tizo comes in, and it's amazing. And then the album came out, and I was like, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna fucking listen to it. Tizo's built up hype for me this year, and it was really good. He's very, like, quirky and goofy, and, like, not trying to be taken seriously, which I really enjoy. I think that makes it a really fun listen. And I think that there are maybe 2 songs that I didn't love on this. Because, like, Mood Swings is hilarious. It's super fun. Too Easy is one of the most fun songs to sing along to ever. That shit live, when he opened for Travis, was amazing. And, like, Nune, awesome. Sweet has been stuck in my head all day. Everything you say is funny. Feeling like I'm dating a comedian. Like, it's so catchy. It's so good. He has such an interesting voice. Everything about this album I really liked. Moving on, we're finally going to be talking about Scaring the Hoes. Now, I know this isn't as high up as a lot of people's lists. A lot of people have this as their album of the year. Personally, for me, a big thing that I mentioned that I'm ranking is re-listenability. And this is not an album that I'm going to come back to and listen through straight probably ever again, but it has a lot of songs that I've been returning to. Because I do like the sounds of a lot of these songs, but the vibes of them, because the production is so out there and eccentric and wacky, it's just like something where, like, if I'm thinking of a certain vibe and I'm just skipping through my playlist listening to, like, calm songs, I'm going to skip something on Scaring the Hoes. And if I'm trying to, like, work out, I'm going to skip pretty much every song on Scaring the Hoes except for maybe Lean Beef Patty. That's one of my favorite songs on. I don't know why I was blanking. Lean Beef Patty I'd listen to in the gym, of course. That song's awesome. I still like the song. And if I'm in the mood to listen to Scaring the Hoes, obviously, then I'm going to listen to some Scaring the Hoes. It's really cool. It's really experimental. It's got fun messages. It's got cool messages, starting with the fucking fuck Elon Musk bar. It's all over the place, and I like it, but it's just not something that I can constantly return to all the time, which is kind of because of the nature of the album, so I can't fault it too much, but it's still great. I just can't call it the best if it's not something that I can return to listen to leisurely a lot of the time. That's what's docking it, pretty much all of the points that's docking. That's what's preventing it from being in, like, my top 3, to be honest. And I think that's fair. Again, because, like, listenability, playlistability, I can't listen to Step a Pig every day for the rest of my life. I can't. I can listen to it sometimes. It's very obnoxious in a way that I like, but not in a way that I'm going to want to listen to walking to class unless I'm in, like, some type of mood, like I said before. So that's there. Now, what I put above this might upset some people, but again, listenability, replayability. We're going with Set It Off by Offset. This one shocked me by being so good. I knew I was going to enjoy it. I didn't know I was going to enjoy it this much. I do believe we are now in our top 10. If not, maybe Scaring the Hoes cracked the top 10, which I know that's blasphemous for some people, but I've stated my case. Set It Off is just straight through really enjoyable. The few skips or songs that I didn't dislike at all, actually, they're just like, I don't see myself listening to this that much. It's like, not even, I wouldn't even say mid. They're decent songs. They're okay, but just not something that I feel like listening to. The vibes are very different throughout it. You have songs like Jealous, which is just super energetic and super fun, and probably my favorite Cardi B verse of her entire career, to be honest. She was going crazy on that. I guess the one song that I really didn't like was the other Cardi B feature, Freaky. Wasn't that good. But that's kind of it. Because, like, you have Dissolve, which is just super cool vibes. You have Princess Cut, which is, like, again, super vibes, on top of songs like Say My Grace and songs like Jealousy. Throughout the entire album, it's just a really fun listen, and it never gets boring, despite it being, like, relatively pretty long. This is something that people probably saw coming and be like, oh, you're such a basic rap fan. Trust me, I'm not a huge Drake dick rider. I haven't liked everything. I mean, I liked her. This is no Her Loss. I liked Her Loss quite a bit. I did not like Honestly Nevermind at all. I have a review on my channel of it, me calling it dog shit. It was the only thing I put in F tier last year. And Certified Lover Boy was mid, but I really liked For All the Dogs. I really did, through and through. Virginia Beach, cool sample, very good vocal performance. I liked it a lot. Again, Amen with Tizo Touchdown was really good. 7969 was alright, and then Tizo came in and made it really good. First Person Shooter with J. Cole, phenomenal song. I Don't Give a Fuck with Yeet, another one of my favorites on the album. Tried Our Best, oh my god, Tried Our Best. Holy shit. Bahamas Promise is also really good. Like, just stop playing, you know? Like, when I was making this list, I put Drake so high up, and I was like, is that really true? Because I listened to this album, and I was like, yeah, that was really good. I liked it. And then it grew on me even more as I kept listening to it, but that was on my first reaction. And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, let's think of the songs that I like. Okay, we got Virginia Beach, we got Amen, we got 7969, we got First Person Shooter, we got I Don't Give a Fuck, we got Tried Our Best, and I was like, okay, yeah. Yeah, it belongs here. It's just got so many, like, incredibly notable highlights and not too many terrible lowlights, I would say. It's just such an enjoyable listen. that's gonna do it for A plus. And funnily enough, this was not done on purpose at all. This is actually fully coincidence. But the bottom of our amazing tier is gonna be Scary Hours 3, also by Drake. 6 tracks of just like kind of old Drake style rapping, which is just like kind of what we've been missing for such a long time, you know? Yeah, it's just what I've been waiting for Drake to come back to for at least a couple songs on one of his albums, and he just hasn't really been doing it much, and he did it back to back to back to back to back to back on this with another J. Cole feature that was really good. But that for me probably wasn't even the biggest highlight on it. I really liked You Broke My Heart. I really liked If the Shoe Fits. If the Shoe Fits was so fucking good. Red Button, really good. Wickman, really good. Again, Evil Ways with Cole, really good. You Broke My Heart, really good. I think I'm forgetting one of them, but it's also really good. It's just really, really, really good throughout. So I'm giving it an S for amazing. After this was a hard order to do. So the next two could go either way. But next up we're having And Then You Pray For Me by Westside Gunn. This was another thing where it's just like throughout, you got like 17, 19, 20, maybe 22, I don't remember. A lot of tracks and just hardly any misses. It's the production is very various throughout. The flows are various. The features do their thing, like Denzel on Ultra Griselda, Jid on that one that I can't remember the name of right now. Mama's Primetime, that's what it was called. And then, oh my god, Stove God cooks on every song that he's on. Never heard of the fucking guy before. He cooks. Stove God does cook. Like, oh my, Kitchen Lights is one of the best songs of the year. Kitchen Lights is so good for both of their performances. The production on top of the way Stove God cooks does the hook, his verses, and Westside Gunn's rapping, it's all just so, it's so good. And Westside Gunn is such a cool and raw sound. And I don't know, I just love it so much. It's like violent, it's gross, but in a good way. It's like yucky and nasty and disgusting, but like grimy, and I fucking love it. And on top of this, right above it, we have The Estate Sale, Tyler the Creator. Now, as I mentioned before, this is just the new songs, because again, Call Me If You Get Lost came out in 2021. I'm ranking this solely off of not including the no lyric intro, the 9 new tracks, I believe, that were added in the Estate Sale Deluxe, if you will. Really fucking good, obviously, and it was really hard to tell if I liked it more than Westside Gunn's project or not, but I decided to put it above, but it took a lot of thought, and I'm still not entirely sure. So again, that could go either way. But like, Boyfriend Girlfriend, I'm starting with this one because it's really fun to listen to, and it's probably my least favorite. Because you just got classics on classics. Fucking the song with Vince Staples is super, super good. It's super energetic throughout. Vince does his thing. Tyler obviously does his thing. Heaven to Me, I think, was the name of that one. The Heaven Only Knows. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I do believe that's what it was called. I'll probably check on my phone after. But again, so fucking good. And then you got 2 fucking classics on there. You got Sorry Not Sorry and Dogtooth. Dogtooth is one of my favorite songs to come out this year. Awesome. She could rub my face, I don't want nothing in return. It's just, it's an addicting sound, and I love it so much. And that's pretty much the entirety of The Estate Sale. Now, I'm going to follow this up with another pretty hot take that a lot of people are going to disagree with me on. But we got Quavo's Rocket Power. I'm putting in amazing tier. I don't know what it is about this. But, like, first of all, he definitely did his thing. He paid tribute to Takeoff, and he did it in a good and big way. I really loved this album. The intro, Fueled Up, was super emotional beginning into the super energetic verse, back into that cool and like slower introductory part at the end. And it's just, and then the Takeoff features, both of them went super hard. Patty Cake was one of my favorite songs on the entire thing. You got Turn Your Click Up. You got like Turn Your Click Up. The songs that aren't even like central to the theme of Rocket Power, but also really good. Like even Stain. I enjoyed that song. It was stupid and fun, but fun. So I enjoyed listening to it. Like, and Huncho, which I don't even like calling the guy because he just stole Quavo's alias and made it his rap name. But he slid on that track. Like, he slid on it, and it was pretty enjoyable. But the songs that comply to the theme of the album are also really good. Galaxy is amazing. 1111 is really good. Rocket Power, the title track, very good. Both halves of it are very good. And of course, Greatness, one of my favorite songs of the year, one of my favorite Quavo songs ever. Greatness is such a good song. Great outro, very emotional, very good. The production is, oh my god, the production is immaculate on that track. And honestly, yeah, like, Rocket Power is just one of those skipless albums for me. I don't know, I just really enjoy it. Moving into that's actually we've entered our top 5 already. That is number 5 right there. Number 4, we have Nas again with Magic 2. Now, on first listen, I couldn't really distinguish which one I liked more. And then on probably second listen, I was able to tell I liked Magic 2 a lot more. Unlike Magic 3, it did have one song that I didn't love, but everything else. Pistols on Your Album Covers, one of my favorite tracks of the year. The one with 50 Cent that I can't remember the name of, Office something, again, one of my favorite tracks of the year. Abracadabra, one of my favorite tracks of the year. I'm trying to think of the track titles. One Mic, One Gun, one of my favorite tracks of the year. It's just full of bangers on bangers on bangers. Like, come on. Like, look at it. Like, this is not a banger. This is not a banger. And I know bangers, but it is full of them. That's all I really have to say. And it's going to look a little weird as a tier list, but for our top 3, we will only have 2 in our S tier, because I think they gap. And you're going to start knowing what it is as I scroll. But first, we're going to talk about Michael by Killer Mike as our number 3 slot. Now, I do think it does gap Magic 2. Not by a ton, but it gets gapped by the other 2 by a significantly larger margin. Again, this album had no skips. Maybe a couple of bars that are like, what was he cooking with that? But entire songs, all super good. The features, they did their thing. Scientists and Engineers, again, one of the best songs to come out this year. Definitely, like it was definitely one of my most played songs this year as well. Like, that song's amazing. The Andre 3000 feature, the Future feature, then Killer Mike's verse, he just killed on it. Motherless, one of the probably the best, if not, it's either that or Greatness, but Motherless is probably the best emotional song to come out this year, like about an emotional true story. Motherless is amazing. The music video makes it even better, to be honest. But the deluxe on Michael was also good, but it wasn't significant enough for me to count. It's only 4 extra tracks on top of 14. But through and through, track 1 to track 14 is heat on heat on heat, and he keeps delivering it. It's all different. Like, the difference between sounds of songs like Motherless and the sounds of songs like Exit 9 with Blast, it's night and day. And he does both of the sounds like so perfectly with the way he raps. And I had never really listened to Killer Mike like that, and up until this year, up until Michael came out. I listened to Scientists and Engineers the day that the single came out, and I was like, oh my god, this song's fucking amazing. And then I kind of forgot about this album's existence until a little while after it came out, and then I listened to it. I was like, holy shit, this is one of the best albums that I've listened to. And now that we're talking about best albums that I've listened to, we can move on to number 2, which is Lil Yachty's rock album, Let's Start Here. This was the first big album release that I listened to, because I listened to it a few days after it came out. I vividly remember this, which is how I know that it's good, because I remember where I was when it happened. I was riding home on a bus from my senior trip, listening to it for the first time with one of my closest friends, Nate, who some of you who are familiar with the channel know. He was on the stream that we had a little less than a month ago. So yeah, it's amazing. It's, like, again, no skips. The Black Seminole, probably my second favorite song to come out this year. I've Officially Lost Vision is a top 5 song to come out this year. Drive Me Crazy, Running Out of Time, The Ride, The Zone, all of it. The Alchemist, all of these songs are so fucking good. Reach the Sunshine, so fucking good. We Saw the Sun, so fucking good. Failure is just an instrumental, and he's talking, and it works somehow, and I don't get why it works. Pretty is so much fun. The Fouché features on The Alchemist and on Pretty, so good. I believe it was Diana Gordon on The Black Seminole and The Zone, and and Drive Me Crazy. I'm not entirely sure. Whoever did all of those, insane. The Black Seminole is such a fucking masterpiece. Even if more than half of the song is instrumental, the production is phenomenal. I remember people were comparing him to Pink Floyd, calling him Purple Floyd, because of how good the production was on this album. And I come back to it all the time. It's amazing, and it never gets stale for me. Actually, never. It's so good. Even the 7 minutes of the Black Seminole, I could listen to every fucking day. And that brings us to, as you've probably seen, what I personally think is Album of the Year, which, based on the many references to Travis Scott that you guys have heard throughout the video, will not be surprised to find out that it is Utopia by Travis Scott. It's just something about it, man. I don't know. The ironically dystopian feel of a lot of the songs, like Hyena and Sirens, the incredibly unique production style of this album, how different it is from all of his past albums. It's just, everything about it is so fucking good, except for K-pop. That song's pretty shit. But like Hyena, incredibly energetic, incredibly weird sounding intro, starting with that weird vocal sample about like how weird the situation that we are in at this time is, and how it's not good or bad, and it can change, but it also can't. Like the whole Schrodinger's box of the situation we are in at this time. And then we move into just, thank God, it's just good sounding flows, good hook by Casey, good ad-libs by Tizo, into the amazing beat switch into, oh my God, still no pressure. Thank God, Aubrey, so fucking good. Then Modern Jam, so weird, so eccentric, and I love every part of it. Tizo did his thing on that second half. Travis did his thing on the first half with his weird boom bappy ass fucking flows. We got fucking My Eyes, song of the fucking year. My Eyes is a masterpiece. The low-key, vibey, calm intro with the high-pitched, auto-tune heavy vocals. I believe the vocals by Is it pronounced Bon Iver or Bon Iver? I've heard it pronounced both ways. I don't know. That guy who sung on Lost in the World by Kanye West, he has vocals at the beginning. Sampha has one line for some reason. Then the most beautiful beat switch of the year into the aggressively rapped, like conscious, thoughtful, thought-provoking verse in the second half of My Eyes, talking about the incident in 2021, referencing Kylie Jenner and the fact that they're not together anymore in a very non-direct way. Just all of his flows, the sound of it, the flows, his voice, it's just so perfect. And again, the beat switch is immaculate. And then you move on. I don't remember the exact order of the track list. I don't have that entirely down pat. But we have, like, Sirens, which has those weird fucking drums, the weird sound, the interesting flow into the now I got your attention type shit. And then into the fucking weird, like, screaming sound that repeats and gets repetitively faster. And then you get that, like, Mike Dean style outro into the lady talking to Drake in the hotel room. Into Meltdown, where Drake goes fucking crazy for like a minute, and then Travis Scott goes crazy for the rest of the song. And then you got fucking Fiend, which the version with Sheck West is better. I saw him live at MSG, so I got to see Sheck West perform his verse. So get shitted on to all of you if you weren't there. Oh my God, that was when he performed Fiend 15 times. Sick. Anyway, Fiend, fucking gas. Topia Twins, fucking gas. I Know, such a fun song, so interesting, such a cool piano sound, such an interesting selection for the production, cool flows, super catchy hook. Like, I don't know, till further notice, amazing outro. Schizo, probably the most underrated song on the entire thing, with the 4 beat switches where he cooks on all of them, and then the fucking last one, so fucking smooth. Oh my God. And Parasail, I think, is a pretty good interlude. And again, Till Further Notice is such a good outro. 21's verse on that's really fucking good. It's probably better than his verse on Topia Twins. And throughout all of it, Travis has heat features and doesn't let himself get outshined by a single one. Not one. Like, he does his thing, then Tizo does his thing. It's almost like separate, but I would argue that counts as him not getting and then not outshining at all. You have Drake, where I think Travis's performance is just better than Drake's. You have Fiend, where, I mean, the best part of the song is probably Travis's verse, and then the Fiend, which took me a long time to learn. That's Travis saying that, and not Playboi Carti. But I don't even love Carti's verse on that much. It also takes too long to start. But that's really only one of my only complaints on the entire album. And you have Topia Twins. Rob 49 goes crazy for his verse. Travis closes up that verse very smoothly. 21 has an amazing verse. And then Travis comes in with the best verse on the fucking song. Then the same thing happens with Till Further Notice. We get the whole like intro sequence, the hook, then you get a really solid 21 Savage verse, and then we get a better Travis Scott verse. He doesn't get outdone by any of his features, but his features do their thing. It's not like his features are holding him down. He's just making sure that people know this is a Travis Scott album. And it's just super fucking good. It's just super good. It's amazing. S+ for that, and for Let's Start Here. But Utopia, so fucking good. And I would say this is a must listen, but I know damn well pretty much any of you watching this video have heard it already. So, this is our final tier list. This is our tier list of the 80 albums that I listened to that came out in 2023. It took a long time because I decided I wanted to do this in September, so I had a fucking long game of catch up to play. I had to make the tier list after, which probably took around a month on its own, because I mean I listened to these albums once just to like get them in my brain and get the songs that I liked in my everything playlist, and then I came to making the tier list, and I had to like skim through them to figure out like where are they going. Is Nightmares in the Trenches going above Clear 2 Soft Life? Is it going below Larger Than Life? Like, does it go below Mansion Music? Where does it belong? I've made many adjustments. I was ready to make this video, and I made one final adjustment because I had a couple of things higher than I would like it to be. I had Logic above Tizo. I think I had Jack Harlow above Tizo as well, and I was like, no. But I even going through, just adding things in, I had to go back. Like, I would see something, like, for example, I'd be like, oh, I have Slime and the Ice Machine above Conductor and Conductor Machine. That's actually funny, they both have machine in the name. And then I'd re-listen to them again to, like, be sure, and just to like, confirm, even if I wasn't going to change it. It was a long process. That's why I'm so late to the party. That's why it's fucking late January when this video comes out. Maybe even February by the time it's out. So that's all I have to say about music in 2023. Parental advisory, explicit content. Very fitting hoodie for the video. I did not do that on purpose. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know how much you disagree with me in the comments or how much you agree with me. Let me know what you think of my takes. Let me know if you think I have good taste in music. Let me know if you think I have bad taste in music. And before you do any of that, if you don't want to do any of that, make sure to subscribe. Tune into future videos. Tune into future streams, which will be coming soon, because we're not going to be back on the main content grind yet, really, for a little while. I just wanted to get this video out before it was like too late for it to be relevant, if you get what I'm saying. I do have a video in the works. It probably won't be out until, I would say, at least mid-February, probably later than that. I'm not going to make any promises. Streams will probably be happening before then. I've been on the Pal World train already for a while. If I can get that working for stream, then it's good. I've been having issues with running the game sometimes, so I don't want to like have issues on stream. But I digress. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video/stream. Deuces.